Greetings, math fans. All right, so today we are going to basically look at equations and determine if the lines that the equations form are parallel or perpendicular. Okay, so that's what our topic is. So let's talk about it's parallel. But you guys know if it's parallel, the lines don't touch. So what do you kind of think? If they don't touch, what's the same? Certainly not where it crosses an axis, even here, right? That's not the same. What's the same? You guys should say the slopes are the same. So slopes are the same. That's super important for parallel lines. Okay, slopes are the same. And then we have perpendicular. So perpendicular is, you guys remember, if you have two lines, and these lines are perpendicular, they form a right angle. So it's 90 degrees here, right? Okay. So where slopes are the same for parallel lines, basically slopes are opposite. So we'll say slopes are opposite. And opposite means change signs. So positive or negative, okay? So their slopes are opposite and they're reciprocals. And remember, reciprocal just means flip the fraction. Okay? So if you have both of them, you need both opposite and reciprocal. If you have both, the slopes we say the lines are perpendicular. Okay? So let me give you some examples here. Parallel is the easiest. Say if I said the slope was 5 and the other slope was 5. I mean, come on, you can't get any easier. Slope is 8, slope is 8. Okay, slope is negative 8,163, the slope is negative 8,163. So if the slopes are the same, that means they're parallel. All right, so we're going to kind of look at that in a second, but check this out. If you have y equals mx plus b, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the term in front of the x. Okay? You're not looking at this, the b. You're not looking at the y. You're not looking at the x. You're looking at the term in front of the x. If m is the same, the lines are parallel. Okay? That's not bad. Okay, perpendicular is just a little more complicated. So perpendicular, remember, it's opposite, reciprocal. Opposite means change the sign, and reciprocal means flip fraction. So let me give you some examples. If the slope is 2/3, a perpendicular line, the slope would be opposite, so it's negative, and then the reciprocal, so negative 3/2. It's very simple. Opposite and reciprocal. Okay? So let's do a couple more. So the slope is negative 4/7. That means the opposite reciprocal, so it becomes positive 7/4. Okay? Pretty easy. If I give you a whole number, so if I said the slope is 4, just think of it as 4 over 1. Right? So you're going to put this in red. Just think of it as 4 over 1. So that means the opposite reciprocal is going to be negative 1/4. Okay? All right, so let me just scroll down here a little bit more. Let's do a few more. If I said the slope was, this is always a confusing one. The slope is 1. What's the reciprocal of 1? Well, if I flip 1 over, I still get 1. So I flip it over, you get 1, but of course you need a negative sign. Okay? So 1 and negative 1 are opposites and they're reciprocals. So that would be perpendicular as well. Okay? And, if I gave you slope is negative 1/8, you flip it over, you get positive 8, or 8 over 1. That's fine too. Okay? Opposite reciprocal is perpendicular, same slope is parallel, which kind of makes sense logically. Same slope. If it's the same slope, think of a slope of a mountain. If the slope is the same, of two mountains, you're going up the same amount, right? The same angle. That's why it's parallel. They're parallel lines. Okay? All right, so that's kind of it with just talking about it. Let's actually look at an equation. Okay? So if I give you y is equal to 2/3 x minus 8 and y is equal to 2/3 x plus 20. So here's the deal. You got this negative 8 and you got this 20. Guess what? I don't care. I don't care about that, and I don't care about that. The only thing that I am concerned about is the number in front of the x. It's the only thing. So I'm looking at 2/3 and 2/3. These are the same, so these are parallel lines. Okay, pretty easy. The main thing you have to do here, math fans, is you always need to solve for y. Y's got to be solved for in order to get it into y equals mx plus b. Okay? Because once you solve for y, remember you're just looking for the m. That's all I'm looking for. All this other stuff is extra. You don't need it. You just need the m. Okay? All right, so if I give you y is equal to negative 3/5 x plus 10 and y is equal to 5/3 x minus 80. Once again, I don't care about this and I don't care about this. I'm already solved for y, which is good, so I look at the slopes. This slope is negative 3/5. Okay, the slope is negative 3/5, and this slope is positive 5/3. They are opposite because this one's negative and this one's positive. Right? It has no sign, so it's positive. And if you look at it, 3/5 and 5/3 are reciprocals. So we say these are perpendicular. This is just a symbol for perpendicular. Okay, so I can, you can write it out, or you can say perpendicular or whatever. Okay, if it's parallel, you can use this symbol here. Right, two lines that don't touch, never touch, that are parallel. Okay, so again, you can say that's parallel. All right. So again, you're just kind of looking at the slopes. So let's do another one. How about y is equal to negative x plus 7 and y is equal to x minus 3. Okay, so remember what I told you. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. This is already solved for y, which is important. If it's not solved for y, you got to do that. We're going to do a couple problems like that in a second, but you're just looking at the slopes. So let me write them out. For this one, the slope is negative 1, and for this one, the slope is positive 1. And remember what I told you just 2 minutes ago, these are opposite reciprocal. Because first of all, they're definitely opposite. I mean, I see a negative and I see a positive, right? They're definitely opposite. And are they reciprocal? Sure they are, because 1, if I take the reciprocal, I get 1. 1 over 1 is 1. Okay? So these two, just kind of getting rid of all this stuff here. If I go back to the original problem, try and get rid of all this. There we go. So the original problem, I'm looking at the slopes, and again, we looked at them already, and we said, oh, one's 1 and one is, I don't know why I have two ones there. One's 1 and one's negative 1. This one's negative 1 and this one's 1. So what are you going to tell me? You're going to tell me these lines are perpendicular. Okay? It's pretty easy. Just looking at the slopes. All right, so let's do one that's a little more complicated. If I have 2y minus 4x equals 12, and negative y plus, let's see, negative y plus 2x equals 7. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to look at both these equations, but I need to solve. Okay, so let's move, let's actually put this over here. Negative y plus 2x equals 7. And just so we have a little, I like to have room underneath the solve. Okay, so I'm going to solve for x for each of these. Or for y, sorry, I'm going to solve for y. So plus 4x, and we get 2y is equal to 4x plus 12 divided by 2. Got to know how to solve for y. If you don't know how to solve for y, it is not a good thing. So 2x plus 6. Okay, that's the first equation. And this one, I'm going to subtract 2x. So I get negative y equals negative 2x plus 7. And divide by negative 1. Solve for y. Y is equal to 2x minus 7. Okay, so that's my second equation. And remember, I'm looking just at the slope. Okay, the slopes are the same. So what can you tell me? That the lines are parallel. That's it. Pretty easy. Lines are parallel. Okay, not bad. Let's try another one. How about 3y minus 2x equals negative 15. That's a messy x. And then 2y minus 3x equals 4. Okay, solve for y. So you're going to add 2x to both sides. So you get 3y is equal to 2x minus 15. Divide by 3. Y is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. That's your first equation. Next one, I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So 2y is equal to 3x plus 4. Divide by 2. So y is equal to 3/2 x plus 2. Okay, so that's your next equation. So what is this? Parallel or perpendicular? You should be telling me it's neither. Neither. Why is this neither? Why can you tell me it's neither? Because here's a slope and here's a slope. What is it missing? It's not opposite. They're both positive. Okay, it has to be both. Can't just be one. Even if one's negative, one's positive, that is not perpendicular. It's got to be opposite and reciprocal. So this one, that's why this one's neither. Okay, so basically you're going to have three categories here. Neither, which this one is. Okay, if you have y is equal to 5x minus 3 and y is equal to 5x plus 10. Okay, that's going to be parallel, because the same slope. And then of course if I have y is equal to 2/7 x minus 8 and y is equal to negative 7/2 x plus 180. Right? The 180, again, this stuff doesn't matter. This doesn't matter, and this doesn't matter. I only am concerned with the slope. So here it is, 2/7, the reciprocal, 7/2. This one's negative, so that means these guys are perpendicular. Okay? So parallel and perpendicular. That's what today's topic is, and that's what you're going to be asked for on your homework. Tell me if these equations are perpendicular or parallel, and if they're not solved for y, you got to solve for y so you can compare the slopes. Remember, it's got to be in the form, all the problems have to be y equals mx plus b. You've got to find the slope. It's very, very important. Okay? All right. Anyway, that's it, math fans. You have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.